The gavel struck hard against polished wood, echoing through the courtroom like a final judgment. The air was thick with murmurs, eyes darting toward the man standing before the bench. He wore no uniform, only a simple jacket and worn shoes, his hands trembling at his sides. The judge leaned forward, his voice cold, cutting the silence in half. "Coward, that's all you are." A ripple of gasps spread across the room. Some smirked, others whispered, but the man did not raise his eyes. He only clenched his jaw, as though carrying the weight of something too heavy for words. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The man's name was Samuel. To most in the room, he was just another veteran who had failed. Failed to show up when it mattered. Failed his brothers. Failed his country. Or so the papers had written. He stood there, weathered and silent, as though even defending himself wasn't worth it. But deep inside, his mind was roaring, with memories, with battles no one else could see. The judge continued, his tone sharper now, almost cruel. "You left men behind. You hid. You ran when you should have fought." Each word landed like a stone. Samuel could feel the eyes of strangers piercing him. He thought of the desert heat, the radio crackle, the last voice he had heard before the explosion cut it short. His throat tightened. He should have stayed silent. He almost did. But then, with a slow inhale, Samuel lifted his head. His voice came low, steady, and almost too soft to hear. One word. A call sign. A name not meant for ordinary ears. The courtroom froze. The judge's face paled, his lips parting in shock. From the benches behind, a retired colonel rose abruptly, his cane clattering to the floor. Murmurs turned to stunned silence, the kind that feels like air being sucked out of the room. The call sign Samuel had whispered wasn't just a name. It was a ghost, a shadow from missions so secret most would never know they existed. The colonel's eyes glistened as he whispered back, "It's you." Samuel did not nod. He did not smile. He simply let the silence grow heavier, filling every corner of the courtroom with the unspoken truth. For years, he had been branded a failure. For years, he had carried scars no one saw, nightmares no one could imagine. Yet here, with a single word, his story had shifted. The judge, once so confident, now fumbled with his notes. He knew that call sign. He knew the mission it belonged to. And he knew that if Samuel had lived through it, then he was no coward. He was something else entirely. Whispers surged again, no longer cruel, but reverent. A man in the gallery placed his hand over his heart. Another muttered, "God!" He was there. The air was electric, trembling with the weight of revelation. And then came the moment of choice. Samuel could have used this to strike back, to shame the judge, to demand the recognition stolen from him. But instead, he simply lowered his head again. He whispered, "They don't need to know. Let it rest." A hush fell deeper than before. In that quiet, people began to see him not as a coward, nor even as a hero, but as a man who had carried burdens too vast for judgment. A man who had chosen silence, dignity, and mercy over vindication. The judge, eyes wet now, cleared his throat. His voice trembled as he said, "Case dismissed." Samuel walked out, the afternoon sun washing over him like absolution. No applause followed, no parade. Only a few quiet nods from those who now understood. Because truth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And when it does, it silences everything else. And in that silence, Samuel's dignity finally returned to him. Because courage isn't loud. It doesn't always wear medals. Sometimes it wears scars, hidden beneath sleeves. Sometimes it whispers a single call sign, and the world finally listens. So remember this: real strength doesn't demand recognition. It simply exists, waiting to be seen. And maybe that's the lesson we carry with us today. If this story moved you, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. More stories like this one are waiting to be told, and I'd love for you to be here for them.